I was meditating in bed, and I felt a very negative presence. And I asked my spirit guide at the time, what was that negative feeling I was feeling? And he said, that's the ETs. They've come to take you. They took all your eggs. I was in bed. I saw this very giant, looked like about 7 foot tall praying mantis. It seemed motherly at the time. It looked like a praying mantis that used telepathy to talk to me. Wanted me to allow her or him to take me to her ship, and I didn't want to go, so I said no. I actually do agree with that, because I think the panic, the fear, the paralysis, even the anger, anxiety, all of that, I think they really enjoy.
What's up, everyone? This is Arizona Gallegos, and you're listening to Alien Strand Podcast with Donald Ledesma. Check out my Facebook page at Arizona Secret Backyard. Hit me a like, share, and follow. I'll see you there.
Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. It's been a couple of weeks or so. I've been super busy, but we're going to get an exciting show for you. And I'm glad you guys have came back and stuck around and listened to the show. And I have a very good topic to talk about today. And I have a very special guest on today. And we're going to have some interesting discussions on her book and her encounters, right? And but before we get into that, I'd just like to welcome everybody to Alien Strand Podcast. You can follow us on Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and alienstrand.com. Check us out there. Like I said, you can go to Facebook, and you can see a lot of the videos I've been posting. There's been some really good ones going out there. And, Bigfoot has been kind of hiding a little bit there. So I haven't really got too much footage on Bigfoot, since a lot of you guys like that. But, it's just one of those things. Sometimes you can catch them, sometimes you can't. But as far as the UFOs now, we've been getting a lot of good video out there. And some amazing video. I don't know if you saw the one I just posted up there maybe about a week and a half ago. It was an actual UFO silver disc, and it looked like it was next to an airplane, and it was right at the wingspan. Came up, came close to the airplane, and went right under it. But you could see how clear this craft was, and this video started floating around. And I had a couple of you guys send me the video, actually, on Instant Messenger and on Facebook there. Thank you guys for that. And I started looking into it, and it just blew my mind, just like it did everybody else's. So that video got, it was getting out there to everybody, and it was just so incredible, right? And there's just been a lot of stuff going out there as far as the unknown, right? And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today on today's show. And I'm super excited for today, because my guest, Lisa O'Hara, she's been on a few podcasts already. She's getting her name out there, right? And it's because of the book, because of the incredible story that she has, right? And it's just something that a lot of people will understand. And I hope that this helps a lot of people out, as she hopes, as well as I've talked to her about it. So we're gonna get her on the line now. Let's just go ahead and get her on the line now. So Lisa, are you on the phone? You there?
I am here. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Hey, thank you. And thank you for being on the show. You have a really incredible story, and we've done a few stories on a couple of people. And actually, no, I'm lying there. I had one. She was an abductee as well as you were, and as are, and she had an incredible story as well, and when I saw that you reached out to me, sent me the book. Thank you so much for sending me the book. You even signed it for me. Thank you so much. I love that. And your book is called Abducted and Furious. So, I guess you went through a lot of things to get you the courage up after a while and put it all together to get this book out there, so that way it can help people. And I'm just going to give everybody a little bit of your background, okay? You have a bachelor's degree in business and administration from San Jose State, right, in 2011 in California. You worked in law firms as in an IT help desk as well, and becoming a network administrator. You are now retired, correct?
Yes.
And you recently kind of discovered psychic medium, and kind of just going on the knowledge of the unknown. In other words, you're using that to help you as well. So can you please tell us your story, and let's start from the beginning, how this all happened, and from the very, very beginning. What do you have there for us?
In the very, very beginning, when I was a little girl, I used to have unusual experiences, but not so that they were repeatable. So I'd have one unusual experience, and I'd have another unusual experience, and they weren't things that I could say, oh, I'm a psychic, or I couldn't label anything. So, for instance, I would have these round white discs that would appear on my bed when I was 11, and they would move toward me, and I would instantly be afraid of them. And I wouldn't understand why I was afraid of them, but I knew I was afraid of them. There would be other times when I would have a dream that would come true. I also had what I called, as a 10-year-old, daydreams that would come true after I'd had them for a week at night. Mm-hmm. So, but that happened when I was 10. Then the next time it happened when I was 16, right before I kept having this daydream that I was going to move to a foreign country. And I kept having it, and I was thinking, no, because I moved around a lot as a kid, and I did not want to move because I was 16. I was about to go into my senior year of high school, and the last thing I wanted to do was to go to a new school. But that's what happened. I had the daydream for a week, then it came true. I moved to a foreign country.
Wow. Did you ever think that was going to kind of be a part of what would happen to you as far as like in the future?
You mean that I would keep that kind of thing would keep happening to me?
Correct.
I wasn't sure because it was so sporadic, but for a little while, I mean, at least when I was 10 and it happened, I thought I had created that. And then also when it happened when I was 16, I mean, I wasn't really sure because there's no one to talk to about these things. And it's not like, I'm a medium and I can talk to ghosts and I can talk to people. And then also, there are certain parts of the decades, I was born in the 60s. So in the 70s, psychicness and all of that was kind of taboo.
Right.
So there wasn't anyone to talk to about it. And it was so, like I said, sporadic that I couldn't, put my finger on it. So,
wow.
So that's what happened early on.
Okay.
So then also when I was 28, I was married because I've been married twice. Mm-hmm. So my first marriage, my husband, whenever he walked into the room of our bedroom at night, and if I'd gone to bed first, as soon as he walked through the door, I would sit up and start screaming as if someone was killing me.
Wow.
It happened every time.
Mm-hmm.
And all I could remember was a black rectangle. So I didn't know what that meant. I went to therapy. I couldn't figure out what was going on. later, I got divorced, and I was living in my house all alone, and I kept sleepwalking and finding myself running down a hallway. Where I'd wake up, and I had been running down a hallway or crouched on the edge of my bed, looking into the closet.
Mm-hmm.
And so these things are just strange. I mean, they don't make any sense.
Right.
Or there's nothing, you can't wrap your head around them.
Exactly.
So, so when I was in my 30s and I had gotten a divorce, I was working 2 jobs, and I had just gotten a divorce, and I couldn't handle it anymore. So I said to whatever this was, you need to stop. I can't deal. And it stopped. So you got to wonder what that means. Right. So around 2012, I started thinking that I needed to figure out what I was. You know, I need to put a label on it. Am I, I'm a medium? Am I intuitive?
Right.
Let's label this.
Right.
So I read some books, and I thought, well, I could be a medium. It's possible, but I don't know. So I started meditating. I started looking for a mentor to mentor me to become a medium, if that's what I was, and I found one. And when I went to her, my mother had passed away, and I went to her to meet up with my mom. And
Right.
she said, "You're just like me. You're a medium."
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. Yeah, so that was strange. So I did start working towards that because I thought, well, that's where I'm being led to, so I might as well go ahead and start working on this.
Mm-hmm.
I spent quite a while working on it, and prior to that, I had also spent a lot of time meditating.
Okay.
And I learned that my spirit guide was named Korig,
Mm-hmm.
and normally they tell you we don't have genders and we don't have names, but I told him I needed a gender, I needed a name, so he gave me one. And so I spent a lot of time talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
He told me that I was a beacon of light. That was my purpose.
Nice.
And I didn't know what that meant.
Uh-huh.
And he said I was awakening, and they were going to prepare me to be a warrior. So I was like, all right. So about 2017, I was lying in bed. I was talking to Korg. I was meditating, and I suddenly noticed that there was a very, very negative presence in my room.
Wow.
And I said to Korg, "What is that really heinous negative presence in my room right now?"
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Oh, that's the Greys. They've come to take you tonight. They took all your eggs, and that's why you don't have children."
What?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I'm sure you were pretty shocked when, it's what the audience has to understand about meditation. It's that inner voice that you hear, correct?
Right.
It's the
Correct.
inner voice. So it's going to be audible where you can actually hear somebody talking to you. It's going to be your inner voice. And I understand that 100%. So, and after he told you that, what did you feel afterwards? Did you have a feel of like, well, that kind of makes sense now?
Yes and no. So
Uh-huh.
it did make sense about my lack of children, because I'd never had the ticking clock. I didn't have those things that everyone else has, that they have to hurry up and get married and have children.
Right.
And so that kind of made sense. But I just felt unadulterated fear at that point, because I didn't feel like I felt like I had a handle on the world. The earth. You go to work. You come home, you go to bed, and
Right.
then you get up the next day, but you don't expect to know that you're being taken out of your bed, and that's something you don't know about. You feel helpless, you feel panicked, you feel anxious. I mean, I felt all those things, and just also a little bit of anger, but mostly just fear.
Right.
A lot of fear.
Right, as anyone would be, really, and something like that.
Yeah. So after that, I talked to my medium, because I'd been going to her for a while, and there was a point where she said, you right now you're at a crossroads. You can either go toward the unknown, or you can go and be a medium. So which do you want? And I was getting that feeling. I don't know if you've had these feelings with your spirit guides, but at first you feel like you're going in one direction, and then it just feels less and less like you really aren't going in that direction anymore, but you're actually turning.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah. Yep. I know exactly.
So my spirit, okay. So, so she said, "Do you want to go to the unknown or do you want to go to the known?" And I always choose the unknown when I'm at a crossroads. So I
Right.
said, "I want to go through the unknown." So once I found out that I was abducted, first I had to get my fear under control. I did
Right.
tell my husband, because I'm married also again,
Right.
and he was like, "That's ridiculous," and
Course.
that doesn't make sense, and let me give you a scientific explanation for that.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually made me feel better, because I felt like I needed, like I was, like my gravity was gone, and I was like floating around. And as soon as he said that, I felt grounded back to the earth, and I felt like I could sort of say to myself, "Yeah, he's right. That's not true," and get my fear under control, and then kind of get used to the idea as time went on. So with the medium, I told her, after I got all my fear under control, I was like, "How dare they do this? I do not want to be in this position. I want out." And so we got into a thing where we tried to break her. She claimed I had soul contracts where I had to break them in order to get out of this situation. A soul contract is when you have chosen your experiences on Earth prior to coming here. And you choose those situations where you'll learn the most. And you choose all the people in your life and that kind of thing.
Right.
But to me, that didn't resonate with me, because I didn't feel like I would ever choose such a thing.
Yeah.
So I was adamant about fighting this. I did not want this. So we tried everything we could. She had me sing out a manifesto, say this every night. That's what my husband called it, my manifesto.
Mm-hmm.
But I would demand my angels and my right to free will, my sovereignty. I, respectfully demand I be protected. I ask for the Akashic records to be changed. I did everything. I asked for what was in my highest and best good. I did everything I could think of, everything. I mean, I left no stone unturned.
Wow.
Because I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss out on anything I could find. So also prior to that, I had been also taking some of her healing classes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found a couple of different healing modalities. One is Reiki, which I didn't take with her, but that's one that everyone's heard of. But the one I took was angelic healing, and also one called Laho Chi. And I liked Laho Chi a lot because you could actually put it on yourself, put your hands on yourself, basically using hand positions, and heal yourself. And you can heal others, but you can heal yourself.
Is that sort of like palm chakra? Have you ever heard of that?
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, it's like
No.
when you can heal with your hands, like you have some sort of you kind of not meditate, but kind of focus on your hands, and all of a sudden your hands start getting hot, like really, really hot. And at that moment, when you got your inner spirit and your, it's like you're telling your body to go put all your energy to your hands. And at that moment, your hands start getting super hot. And if you touch somebody that's hurt or anything like that, that pain kind of subsides for them. So the only reason I know is because I tried this. And I read about it. And you know what? It does work. You just have to really focus. So, no, keep going. I just had to throw that in there.
That is actually it. If you go to the lahochi.com website, that woman there, she developed this Lahochi. She got it from a download, I guess, from her spirit guide. And yeah, that's what happens. Your hands get hot.
Oh,
and
wow.
It doesn't happen right away, but after a while, your hands get hot. And my medium said that her husband would say, "Turn on your hands, turn on your hands."
Wow.
But mine would just turn on. And sometimes when people need a healing, your hands will turn on also.
That's true.
So, yeah. So I haven't heard of that, but it's really cool. And I really advise anybody who is abducted to use it, especially after abduction. So after my healing things, still meditating, I actually put up a copper pyramid that I found instructions for on the web.
Right.
That's in my book on how to create one of those. It's sort of like it creates like a meditation funnel, and it's copper and it's in a pyramid shape. And pyramids are awesome. They can heal you. It can change water. It can make plants grow. I mean, it's just amazing. So,
I mean, on that, the pyramid, the geometrical shape of it, the way it works, right? Do you, I mean, now that you talk about this, and it kind of rang a bell for me, how you explained it real quick, and then how it has healing properties as well. Now, we have pyramids all over the world, right? So it has to have that symbolism, and that geometrical design has energy. So and if it works for you and it works for everybody else, they all connect. What I'm trying to say is all that energy connects, especially in that geometrical shape as a pyramid. No, but keep going. Go ahead.
I agree. I totally agree. I was basically meditating in the pyramid, and I would use certain different crystals, clear crystal, and also I found that crystal skulls. I don't know if you have noticed that crystal skulls work really well.
I've heard about that. Yes.
Have you? It's
yes.
really awesome. It's pretty amazing.
I've heard about it. I haven't tried it yet, but one of these days I probably will.
Well, you know what? I started putting them in front of my screen, on my computer, and it really works. I mean, there have been times when I've wanted to write something down, and I'll have it in my head until I get to my screen, and then I'm blocked.
Wow.
So I started putting crystal skulls, and actually just skulls of geode and, whatever I can find that feels like it's the right one, put it right in front of my screen. I have my monitor on a little stand, and it really works. It's awesome. So it's just something to think about. I think these things kind of open up our minds.
Exactly.
Okay, so
Go
ahead.
No. I was just going to say you have to have an open mind, in order to when you're experiencing these things and trying to figure out what's going on and just of everything of the unknown, you need an open mind. You can't be just shut out because it's just you won't be able to figure it out.
You do. You do, and there are things, you can do to open your mind. One of the things I took, so I took all that healing modality, which really helped me a lot, but also I took a class on remote viewing. Right. Have you guys heard of remote viewing?
I have.
What have you heard about it?
Well, it's the remote viewing as far as I know that the military possibly used something like this in the past. I can't remember the gentleman's name that was doing this, but I believe he was like part of their program, and to do remote viewing to see targets and to see things that were going on. It wasn't for a very long time, though. I think it was just a short time, maybe 5-6 years or so. But no, go ahead, keep on going.
Okay. So what happened was I felt kind of drawn to. Well, actually, I'm one of those people that are all in. So when I'm all into healing, I'm all into healing. And so I bought all the books I could find on healing, reflexology and this and that, and I just kind of held them there for when I felt ready for it. Because sometimes when you get involved in a project or a subject, you can feel like, you start at the beginning and then you feel ready for other parts to be brought in. But at first you're just in the beginning. So you don't want to bombard yourself with too much information. So I bought a whole bunch of books and I kind of put them off to the side. In the meantime, I was reading a lot of books. And I was reading books that were leading me to other books, because I'm one of those people that when somebody writes a book and they talk about other books in their book, what I do is I look at all those books, and then if I think they're interesting, I read those books. And one of the books I read was Psychic Warrior by David Morehouse. He was in one of those programs, and he wrote about how he learned and trained to be a remote viewer and how it's done. So he actually has a website. So I went to his website. I learned how to do something called coordinate remote viewing. Now, these kind of things are using your mind. So that's why it opens your mind. I had a very strange experience where I was doing the little steps for his class, and suddenly, and I ended up in a room. And I don't drink coffee, and neither does my husband. But I was in a room with big boxy CRTs. I don't know if you're old enough to remember those, but monitors with giant backs on them.
Uh-huh.
And I was in my room, and there were all these men standing around me wearing, business casual, which is a white shirt with khaki pants.
Right.
And they were drinking coffee. And I was just like, what the heck is going on? And then I heard all of these remote viewers say, "There you are."
Wow.
And suddenly I was deluged by remote viewers in my house. Remote viewers actually hit the membrane, I guess, of the atmosphere when they come into your house. I started hearing thunking noises like you thunk a watermelon. I would hear cracking noises like your house is cracking. And I had heard snapping noises. And eventually figured out all these different remote viewers. So that was on my journey. So what happened was, eventually I was trying every single thing I could to figure out how to get rid of these ET experiences. I was really scared to go to sleep. I put up some nanny cams, some picture frames that were motion detection frames that were pretend pictures. They would have a fake picture in them.
Right.
And the people, and I would lay in wait. But what would happen? What would happen is every time I'd turn it to on, I'd go to bed, I would go to sleep, and the next day it would not be on or off. It would be in between.
Wow. Wow.
So something was happening, but I didn't know what.
Okay, well, take us to that. Take us to your very first, I guess, it was a visual encounter, to the bedroom, to that night that you first saw these beings or creatures or
Sure.
extraterrestrials. Go ahead.
Sure. Okay, so when I was told that I had, grays in my room, I couldn't see them. I could I just felt them.
Right.
But a little while later, I really wanted to see them. I kept wanting to see them. And so I went to an acupuncturist who said that he could make it so that I could see these things. So he did. So what happened was that night, I was in my bed, and what I perceived to be a male praying mantis showed up in my room. He smacked me on my lady part with a spoon or a tuning fork, where I vibrated. It actually really hurt. And then he pointed at me, and I fell asleep.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was the praying mantis looking being, right, that you saw?
That's correct.
Oh. Now, when you saw that, what was your first reaction, or were you terrified, or it was just kind of like in a calm, I'm looking at something here feeling?
You know what? It was one of those things where I think when you think of abductees or people who have been contacted by ETs, you think about grays. So when I saw it, I just could not believe it. First of all, it was really tall. I'm 5'10", and it was about 6'5" or 7 feet tall.
Oh.
I was laying in bed, and I just could not tear my eyes away from it. It was almost like a fascinating thing where you can't look away. But I wasn't scared. I just couldn't believe what I was watching. And I didn't know what it was going to do. And so I think that was my main feeling. I wasn't scared. I was just completely stuck to my bed in fascination.
Oh. And did it speak to you or anything before it did that or after?
No, it did not. It just came in, smacked me, then pointed at me, and I fell asleep. That's what happened. It was pretty fast, actually, but it was kind of a brown one, and it looked kind of like it had a hard body. And I don't really remember what a small bug praying mantis looked like, but this was just kind of like a hard body with the whole praying mantis arms and the whole thing. It was a praying mantis.
But it was huge. It's basically one of the, like a huge.
It was huge. Yes. Yeah.
And did you, I mean, like maybe the next day, did you wake up and think, did I see something, or am my mind playing tricks on me, or did you have any kind of scoop marks on your arms or legs or anything like that, just to indicate that something did happen that night?
Not that night, but all of the other nights. And actually, in my book, I have, especially on Kindle, and in the print book also, but I have pictures of all the little marks that I started finding, because at first, I didn't know I was going to write a book.
Right.
So I didn't think I should pick, take pictures of these things.
Mm-hmm.
But as time wore on and it kept happening, I did start taking pictures.
Right.
I found the requisite, 4-fingered marks on my legs. I found 6 fingers and a thumb kind of mark.
Oh.
And also what I thought were little squares. I find a look like a square on my bicep, and stuff like that. Just weird, little marks.
Right.
There was one point where I found on my leg, and I did take a picture of that, because some of the things are just so unusual. Nobody would ever believe you. But they actually looked like they were by syringe marks. And it was really strange, but it looked like an SP or a JP. And it was actually made that into my leg.
Yeah. Well, you sent me the photos, and I was looking at them, and the color photos, because in your book there's some photos there, but they're in black and white. But the color photos actually bring out more of the contrast of everything that those marks are. And when you first look at them, you're like, well, it could be a bite mark, whatever. But when you start looking at them a little bit more deeply, you start seeing that there's a 3-prong mark. It looks like a prong or an instrument was embedded in your skin, and it left you those marks there. So it's just, I've seen that actually pattern sort of like before, and in some other photos. Yes. So when I saw yours, I was like, whoa, yeah, that looks pretty darn close to what on some scoop marks that we have seen online and of other abductees. But yeah, I'm sure. Were those marks, when you saw them the next day, could you feel any kind of pain, or was it just
no pain? These marks do not hurt at all. And actually, the weird thing is the first day you might see something, and then the second day, as more time passes, one of the things that I've noticed is that a normal bruise won't have, and I get acupuncture even. Right. So even those bruises don't look like these bruises.
Right.
These bruises all have a big bruise, and then they'll have, like 5, like a die, almost like, looking at a pair of dice, and you see a 5. That's what I'll find on my leg. I'll find a Y, or a V. I've found marks that look like a 6 or an L. I mean, just weird things like that. There's just no rhyme or reason for these things. One thing I finally figured out was I was finding, I talked to you about the square that I found on my bicep. Well, I started finding those same marks everywhere. And at first I thought that they were maybe spider bites, because, spiders leave bites of 2 on your body.
Right.
And but some of them were far apart and some of them were close together. And then I finally realized that what they really looked like to me were stun gun marks, as if I was being hit by a stun gun or a cattle prod or something, because of the way that they are all over my back and all over my front. And so I did take some pictures of those. I think one of the pictures in the book is sort of a sideways picture, just for, getting that picture on that page. But it's of my shoulder, or my, near my collarbone, where it shows these 2 dots.
And then after that, did you feel like they were coming daily, or maybe once a week, or could you tell exactly when they were coming?
It seemed like yes, I could. The way I could tell is that every night I would feel what it felt like, I call them now sleep darts, but it would feel like a mosquito bite without the,
Right.
I would feel that, and then I would know I would fall asleep unless I fought it. If I fought it, I would stay awake for as long as I could, and then I'd eventually fall asleep. But yeah, that's how I would know, and then I would be gone. And the other thing too is, at first you're in this position of, oh my gosh, I'm not in any control. They have complete control of me. Your fears go run wild. But the actual truth is, there are a lot of clues prior to your being abducted, and you do have control of those things. And so what I started doing is writing down everything I remembered before I would go to sleep. And there were times, a lot of times, that I did not want to go to sleep because I wanted to fight them. But it's inevitable; it's going to happen. So I eventually decided I was going to fight back by going to sleep and just remembering everything I could. And one of the things early on, and writing it all down, prior and after. Even if I woke up in the middle of the night, I would write everything down. So one of the things that I found was that I finally realized that I really was leaving, and it took me a while to figure this out. And in hindsight, it seems really dumb, but it did take me a little while, was that I found that my clothes were smelled a certain smell.
Right.
So what initially happened was I smelled some clothes, and I thought, oh my God, where have these things been? Because these really are smelly. So I threw them in the laundry, and they smelled like BO and feet. And I thought, this is really weird because I don't ever smell like this. My husband doesn't, So and so then I thought, well, I'm going to wash these, and so I put them all on the counter. My husband folds. I actually do the laundry, and then the next day, some of those clothes smelled like that again. And I thought, well, maybe it's me. It might be that this is, I'm in the laundry room where the cat boxes are, or maybe I didn't put enough laundry detergent in.
Right.
I'm going to redo these, So that happened for a while. So finally I got to the point where I never left any clothes out, and I put them in my closet right away. And it didn't happen if they were in my closet, only if they were on my counter before I went to bed. So one night, I only left workout clothes on the counter, and the next day, those smelled like BO and feet. And I was sure then that I was leaving. I was actually physically leaving. And so that was an important clue. And you know what? Gathering up these clues make you feel better because you feel like you have some control. The other thing is that when you're writing all this stuff down, then you can figure everything out. And in the beginning, actually, my journal is in the book because I needed a timeline, and I wanted to show everyone what happened, everything I wrote down. And I wrote a lot of stuff down because I didn't know what was important data and what wasn't,
Well,
and
I mean,
so,
it's telling a story, really, from the very beginning, and everything that you're writing down, little by little. Even though you don't see it happen, or you're not able to, record it or anything like that, in a sense of video or anything like that, or being awake while it's happening, you're actually recording it, not really thinking about it, but the story is coming together piece by piece by piece, like a puzzle. And that's pretty much what you did right there in order to figure out, okay, these things are coming. They take me at this time of night. I'm actually changing clothes and leaving and coming back and putting them back in the same position. So it's almost like they got you in a state to where you're almost like in a sleepwalk state, like you were doing before as a younger child, correct? I mean, that's basically how you were feeling?
Yes, because it's interesting because all of those clothes were my favorite clothes. You know how you have some clothes you're like,
Right.
those are okay, but these are my favorite, and I wear
Nice.
them all the time. Yeah, it was always my favorite clothes.
Wow. So
so-
subconsciously you were putting those on, in the back of your mind,
Right.
While it was happening. Wow. Okay.
Exactly, yeah. So to go back to the healing, one of the things, as you know, as I told you, I read everything. Well, one of the things that I purchased on healing was a book called Healing Archetypes and Symbols by Stuart Swerdlow.
Mm-hmm.
And Stuart Swerdlow was in the Montauk Project. I don't know if all of your readers or listeners have heard about this, but so he wrote these symbols. And initially, when I first saw them, I thought, oh my gosh, these are esoteric. I'll never use these. I don't know why I bought this book. But then later, I really saw the value in it. In my book, I talk about one of his exercises called the Green Spiral Staircase.
Mm-hmm.
Now, go back a little bit. when I read books, I read everybody's books, because the important thing about everybody's books is their experiences may be completely different than yours,
Exactly.
but they might have a little nugget in their book that helps you.
Piece of the puzzle.
Show you. Yeah, what?
A piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. A piece of the puzzle that you need. You never know what you need that's in there. So I was reading Whitley Strieber's Communion book, and it talked about how your mind makes up screen memories to protect you.
Right.
So let's say that you're having a dream that you lost your wallet. That's a dream. That's a dream to tell you, the sleeper, that you were stressed. It's a stress dream. So that is created not by the ETs. It's created by you. Your brain makes that. So in Whitley Strieber's, I needed to know that, because what I realized was that I could use an exercise in Stuart Swerdlow's book called The Green Spiral Staircase that allowed me to look behind my dream, because the ETs wipe your memory.
Right.
And the only way to know what's happening behind the scenes is to know what happened before they wiped your memory. So that's how I came up with that. I started basically remote viewing my own mind and putting together everything that happened. So that's why it's important to write down your dreams. And then later, using the green spiral staircase, look at everything. Because when you do that, then you're putting the puzzle pieces together. And that's how it works. So the more that you can do this, it benefits you, and more pieces fall into place. And so, I wrote this book so that everyone could utilize these tools so that they can do the same thing. And we could all help each other, because I don't know anyone like me who has these experiences, but I know they're out there.
Well,
I know they're out there.
Everybody's different. I had a past guest. Her name's Shauna Gilmer. I had her on maybe last year, and she was experiencing a lot of things similar to what you talk about. I spoke to her a good while before she came on the show, and she told me a lot of things that were happening even after we kept in touch. I still keep in touch with her. She's a very nice, humble person, and it's just that everybody's experiences are totally different than others. She would see a lot of energy. She would actually see the energy, and there's actually beings around her house, that she would see. It would look like a distorted image,
right,
at times.
Right.
And one of my friends, Anibal Caballero from Extraterrestrial and Strange Happenings group, he actually analyzed her video using his spectrum analyzers, right, that he has on his computer, and you could see the energy just kind of spinning in that. We can't see it with our naked eye, but with his analyzer, he could see that there was energy there spinning or on top of her on her ceiling. So we know that these things do happen to people. We just can't see them at times, and and everybody has these different ways of experiencing these things. And she at first she was afraid of them, and then after we did the show and she opened up, to everyone, she ended up getting some inner peace with herself and not to be afraid anymore of what was happening to her. So she was able to contact them more frequently and actually almost conversate with them in a sense, to where they'll come and they'll show themselves as far as like crafts in the sky above her house and things like that, to where she gets to understand and see these things. Now, what you went through is basically almost the same in a sense, but you had to use these tools to help you understand and to open it up, to open up that door that was shut for you. And now that this door is open, you're helping more people with your book, which is an awesome thing, and I'm glad you're doing that. And that's what a lot of people don't understand about abductees. They're not all the same. Everybody's different.
Yeah, I agree, and that's really important to say. Just because your story is not the same as my story doesn't matter. What matters is if you want to know, and that's an important thing, if you want to know what's really going on, some people don't, then
Exactly.
you can use these tools to find out. But that's what happened to me. Eventually, I mean, I published my book in February of 2020, and here we are in March of 2021, and I've lost all my fear, and I have no fear whatsoever. But I am still angry, and I am still working on it. Now, I am still being abducted, as a disclaimer, but only once a night instead of 4 times a night, so it's gone way down. And I'm close, I hope, to getting rid of them.
Now on these abductions, let's get into it just a little bit more. Have you actually seen a gray?
I've only seen them when I've been being operated on, you know, like around the table, you know, but I also see people. So I really feel like there are a lot of people, and I think they're all working together towards some common agenda. I don't know what it is. I have seen, they did show me my hybrid child, apparently, because they took all my eggs.
Right.
And I thought this was interesting that I would say this, you know, being in a dream state, but they said, here's your child, you know, how does it make you feel? And I said, I don't feel anything, but if I did, I wouldn't tell you, because I know you would use it against me.
Right.
So I have had quite a few experiences where they would, you know, threaten my husband and say, we're going to kill your husband. And I would say, okay, that's his journey, because I don't want them to use, you know, their emotional blackmail on me. And that's what I think. I mean, that's in my opinion, all the people that are in these negative situations, that's how they get you. They threaten your children, they threaten your mother. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
And so, I mean, if you have a child and they say, if you don't do this, I'm going to hurt your child, you're going to do it. So.
And that's what a lot of people, I explain this so many times on a lot of my podcasts, that they think the grays are like, oh yeah, come get me, come take me, you know, and it's no, you don't want that.
No.
A lot of these grays, their agenda is not to, you know, welcome you and take you to their planet and have a good time and have a barbecue and a picnic. No, they're going to take your eggs. They're going to do excruciating experiments on you. I've even heard one where they pulled out the eyeball and put it back in, you know, and it's just these things that they do to people, and some people don't even come back. That's the thing. Yeah. You know, and luckily you're able to tell your story. And just like a lot of these abductees, they get to tell their story. But what about the people that didn't get to tell their stories because they didn't come back? You know. I know. And that's the scary part. That's the scary part. As far as the hybridization of the child that you saw, do you remember what the child looked like or anything like that?
I don't. And you know what? That's one of the things that I find really frustrating. But I think in some ways that the ETs, I mean, they don't want us to be able to see a lot or remember a lot. So one of the things that has happened to me is I'll see like as if that image has been blurred out, like as if I could see everything else clearly except for that one thing that I really want to see. It's blurred. And so I think that's some sort of technology they use to make sure that we can't, you know, talk about too much of our stuff. But I haven't gone back to actually look at that and see if I can see what the child looks like.
Now, in your book, you caught my attention really, really good on one of your pages, and it's, you know, you explain and you kind of put it in a chart of human narcissistic behavior and extraterrestrial behavior, how they kind of coincide together, you know, and you put on this one. On human narcissistic behavior, it's like claiming that they are the victim always, right? For an extraterrestrial, you put victimization. They claim that they are doing their part to help us, but they aren't doing. They aren't doing our part. Yeah, exactly. This is victimization, so the projection. Exactly. Right. And you put they can't help us until we show them willingness to help ourselves. And you know, a lot of these stories that come out and. They're always trying to help our planet, yada, yada, you know, and maybe there's some good ones out there. I don't know. I really don't know. There's stories out there of some good ones, but they always project this image of that. But 90% of it, they do have this narcissistic behavior. And that's what caught my attention. on your book, and I'm glad you put that in there. Really, because it shows people that they can read your book and get a lot of information out of it, because that's what Alien Strand, that's what we do here, and to get the information out to people, to help people that we are the voice for the voiceless sometimes, because
Right.
there's people out there that can't really talk, in front of people or on the phone or whatever. They just keep it to themselves. But if they read
Right.
your book and they read other books like yours or listen to our show, this might help them in a sense to understand what's been going on with them, right? And
That's absolutely right.
so
And that's why I wrote the book, because to get this information out to as many people as possible. And I'm thankful you brought up the narcissist thing, because a lot of people don't really understand how important it is for everyone to understand the two qualities. And I actually wonder if the narcissists here aren't actually the hybrids.
you know what? It's a possibility, and we don't know because they just blend in very well. It could be that
Exactly.
they've been taking us for hundreds of years, and what's to say that their evolution of hybridization has gotten better to where whatever we're seeing today, whoever we're seeing today, looks exactly like us. We just don't know. We just don't know
exactly.
who we're talking to or what we're seeing. But and that's what we have to watch out for. And luckily, we have, like I said, people like you to bring out this information to everybody. And so, Lisa, how can people find you and find your book and find your information?
Well, I have a website. It's lisaoharaonline.com. You can find me on Facebook at Abducted and Furious. Facebook at Abducted and Furious. I also have a Facebook group called Abducted and Furious with Lisa O'Hara, and it's private. And I also have an email address. You can contact me at abductedandfurious@yahoo.com.
Nice. Okay. So what I'm going to do for you and for the show and for everybody out there, I'm going to post these links because you send them to me. So I'm going to attach these links to this podcast today, so that way people can go and just click on it, and it'll take you right to you where they can contact you as well. But I want to thank you so much for being on the show today and explaining your abductions. Everything that you've gone through, and then all the hard work you did, because in reality, what you did was super hard work, as to try to find out exactly how to figure out what these things were at the time that it was happening to you. And I applaud you for that, because not everybody does that. They kind of like go the easy way, but you did it the hard way, to where you can figure it out for yourself without going through regression therapy, correct? Have you ever been through regression therapy by any chance?
I haven't, and the reason is because I feel like the ETs use a form of hypnosis on us, so that's why we can't remember. So I feel very leery against allowing somebody else into my mind. So no.
You know what? That makes a lot of sense, because what if that these extraterrestrials are not, before they bring you back, are implanting a different memory in your mind, to where if you do regression therapy, you're going to see something different. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That would actually happen. So, and that's a possibility. I never really thought about that till right now. Thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate that. But we learned
that's
that.
what I wondered.
Yeah.
See, it seems like a lot of people who have regression therapy, then they suddenly, at first they're really scared and they're horrified and upset, and then they do regression therapy, and what do they say? Oh, I understand now. I'm so happy. Well, I don't know if that's really them.
Right.
Where did that really come from?
Right, exactly.
So that's why.
And I'm going to ask, did you know that during the Betty and Barney Hill abduction, of course, the most famous one out there, okay, they were able to get Barney in that trance, right? But they didn't do Betty.
Right.
They couldn't get her in that trance, and she would not allow them to, right? And then she didn't even get regression therapy because she says, and I even put it on one of my podcasts about their encounter, is that she said it'll come to you slowly, but slowly and slowly. The memories will start coming to you slowly and slowly until you start remembering everything. So that's how she was able to get their story out there, and even drawing a map of the Pleiades, right? Things that she didn't even know about, anything about the cosmos or anything like that, constellations. and she ended up drawing it to where this is where they're from, right? So and
right.
that's a good thing, and that's basically what you did yourself as far as like going through this this healing process that you did on your own, and with your book. It's called Abducted and Furious, How I Fought Back and How You Can Too. Everybody, if you can, go on Amazon, wherever you can, and find it. Download the book, buy it, and it'll help the cause, and it helps Lisa, and it helps other people to bring this story out, so that way it can help them heal. And again, Lisa, thank you for being on the show today. We really, really do appreciate you. We applaud you for putting your story out there, and to put it out there where everybody can hear it, and see it and read it, So we really thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here.
Ma'am. So we're going to go ahead and let you go now, and we'll catch you on the next one. If you write another book, you call me, okay, or anything like that. You have any new encounters, we can do a part 2, and we'll get more information to the people out there, so that way, they know exactly what's going on with you. And of course, you have your Facebook one, exactly, a group page, don't you?
Yes, it's called Abducted and Furious with Lisa O'Hara.
Nice. Okay, and
it's on. If you go to Facebook and bring up Abducted and Furious, it's under groups.
Under groups, nice. Yeah, I just tried to join, so click the OK for me.
I will. I definitely will. I could before.
Nice, thank you. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. You have yourselves a nice evening tonight, and I really do appreciate you. We all appreciate you, and we'll be hearing from you soon. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Well, there you have it. That was Lisa O'Hara. And you know what? I'm glad that she contacted me and got herself on our show, because the stories and all the information that she gave to us was enough to help people as well that are going through this exact thing. And I hope her information helped you. And in her book, she has a lot of her memories written down in there, like a memoir. So I highly recommend this book to anybody that is interested in abductions and this different kind of abduction. And that's what we talked about. Everybody has different kinds of abductions. Not everything's the same. And I hope this helps you in some way to heal or to get past of what's going on with you as far as an abduction, if you feel. And that's the important thing of this whole podcast today, is to get the information about the unknown and how she was brave enough to come on the show and to write this book for everybody. She did it in a short amount of time. The only reason I believe is just to get it out there and to help. She's a giver and a helper. And with her information and all her experiences. And I'm sure she's going to have another book out. Guaranteed. So thank you for being on the show today, Lisa. We really do appreciate you. Everybody appreciates you here from Alien Strand. And I hope you guys got a lot of information. So if you want to contact us, go to our Facebook page. You can click a call now button, and it'll call me directly to my cell phone. You want to be on the show, you can set that up for you. Or not, call 361-245-8000. 361-245-8000. You want to be a guest on the show, you have a book, you have a movie, you have anything of the unknown, you have a story, an abduction, anything. Give us a call, and let's get you on the show, so that way you can tell your story to everyone and be brave like Lisa is. She did a great job today. I really applaud her for that. If you can, catch us on Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and alienstrand.com. Give us a like, subscribe, click a thumbs up on this one. If you really like this show, click a thumbs up. Follow us on Spotify, iHeart. We're on 14, 15, I think we're up to like 25. You can even ask Alexa and she'll play it for you. So if you got that Amazon, that nice thing, she'll play it for you. Got Roku TVs? Download it. You'll see it right there. Alien Strand there. If you do it on Spotify or iHeart, it'll pop right up there. You can listen to it on TV while you clean the house or just kind of laying down. But I want to thank everybody that was listening live tonight. David, thank you, brother. We really appreciate you. And The Awakening with Eric. Thank you for listening to the show, being live with us. It's starting to grow. We're 7 countries, 8 countries, growing and growing and growing. And thank you. We really appreciate you guys. Until next time, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening. And have yourselves a good night.
Hi, this is Kelly Green with Realty Executives, Coastal Bend and Corpus Christi, Texas. And you're listening to the Alien Strand podcast with Donald Ledesma. Buying or selling, visit me at kellygreenrealtor.com or visit me on my Facebook page, Kelly Green Realtor. See you there.
I was meditating in bed and I felt a very negative presence. And I asked my spirit guide at the time, what was that negative feeling I was feeling? And he said, that's the ETs. They've come to take you. They took all your eggs. And
This episode is brought to you by Let's Productions. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. See you there.